Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special meeting of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026, and we are in City Hall, room 205. I am the chair of the committee, Tariq Lucas, Councilor at Large, Ward 2. Joining me on the meeting here in the room is Vice Chair Councilor Randy Block, Ward 4, Councilor Julie Irish, Ward 5, Councilor Brian Golden, Ward 7 on the committee. Joining us on Zoom is Councilor Pam Wright, Ward 3, Councilor Silber, Ward 8, Councilor Sean Roach, Ward 6, and they're all on the committee. Joining us in the conference room is Councilor Brittany Charm, Ward 5. City staff that is present on Zoom is David Kosis and Jeff Nettleton, DPW, and our committee clerk is Danielle Delaney. Please note this meeting is being both audio and video recorded. We have one item on our agenda today. It is docket number 120-26, appeal of traffic council decision TC 62-25. Councilor Charm appealing the approval of traffic council petition TC 62-25 on February 26, 2026 on request to restrict parking along a portion of Holly Road near Beacon Street, Ward 5. So for this particular item, we're going to go first to Mr. Kosis, and he has a presentation, and then we'll go to the appellant, Councilor Charm, and then we're going to go to public comments, and then we'll bring it into the committee. Questions on the process before we begin? Okay, Mr. Kosis, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, this looks different. Okay, I have more choices than I ever saw before. So here we are. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so for some reason now I see the presentation, but I don't see anyone in the room. I'm not sure why. But
we're here.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through the presentation. Again, I can't see anyone on the screen at all right now. I don't know why.
Move down here if you want a better view. You get a better view.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through the slides. We'll set the stage for the discussion. So this is the item. It has already been read into the record. This is the location of Holly Road at Beacon Street. These slides are from the Traffic Council meeting from back in February. Here's the location that we'll be talking about, Holly Road, right at the intersection of Beacon Street in Waben. This is a photo. It shows Holly Road with Beacon Street in the background. It shows that there are no sidewalks on either side of this stretch of Holly Road. This item came to Traffic Council based on an email from a resident indicating that there are no sidewalks on either side of Holly Road in this section. And so sometimes vehicles are parked there, and as a result, pedestrians need to walk in the middle of the street. And so that's why this item was docketed and why we discussed it at Traffic Council. This is a view, a photo that I took back in February. This is from Beacon Street looking to the north. There already is a no parking here to corner sign posted, but it's only 40 feet of no parking from Beacon Street to a point 40 feet where that utility pole is located. One option that we considered at Traffic Council was to, this is on the east side of Holly Road. One option was to extend the no parking zone a little bit further in the area where there are no sidewalks. You can't see it, but this is where there are no sidewalks. That would be, the idea would be to push the no parking zone to a point beyond the first driveway. So instead of 40 feet of no parking, it would be 160 feet of no parking on the east side. And so this is a view on the opposite side. This is looking toward Beacon Street. And so on the west side, again, we have the no parking here to corner sign, but that's only 50 feet of no parking from Beacon Street. So again, on this side, the option that was presented was to push that no parking zone a little bit further beyond that first driveway, not interfering with the tree roots. So probably around 130 feet of no parking instead of 50 feet. So there was a discussion at the traffic council meeting, and what was approved unanimously was to prohibit parking only on the east side and to continue to allow it on the west side. It's a 24-foot wide street. So, I think the general practice from traffic council, is to start out with a less restrictive measure to see how that works. And if it's viewed as not being broad enough, easily just redocket something, come back to traffic council and expand that. But that was what was voted on at the meeting. And I think I could just maybe stop sharing at this point. And that was the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kosis. We're now going to go to Councillor Charm. You are the appellant. Go ahead.
Great. First of all, thank you all so much for hearing this appeal. I know that this is a really busy schedule for the council in particular. This is the only item on this agenda. So I appreciate the effort that everyone put into being here. I appealed this decision because I heard from concerned residents, two of whom are in the room, that they felt that the decision that had ultimately been reached by the traffic council was actually insufficient to meet the need. I think actually I've heard unanimous concern from the residents that I have spoken to, and I've talked to 5 or 6 different households about the kids walking in the streets. But I think that actually there seems to be a consensus that what the residents would prefer is actually to do what the traffic council's original recommendation had been, which is to restrict parking on both sides. The interesting backdrop here is, as Mr. Kosis noted, is that there are no sidewalks on either side. And it's actually only in front of those 2 homes that are on the corners. And there have been years of requests to put in sidewalks on that stretch, particularly on the west side, where multiple people are, like, that's where the cars tend to line up for the school bus. There actually is a sidewalk that starts 1 house back, which is where the original recommendation had been to restrict the parking to until that sidewalk started on the west side. And that was the one that was decided to not be put in place. So I think that actually the residents that I have spoken to have said, we would really love to get the sidewalks. But in the absence of the sidewalks, it really does not feel safe to have the cars lined up. I have also heard that the cars parked on the western side is where the cars tend to be, and that causes 2 risks. The first is that kids are forced into the middle of the road, particularly when there's snow on the side. And the second is that because this is a narrow street, cars coming behind the cars that are parked on the western side have to go out into the opposite lane of traffic. And cars turning off of Beacon onto Holly are typically coming at a relatively high speed because that's a much higher speed road. And they're oftentimes trying to make the turn quickly before another car is coming fast. And so that creates the risk of a head-on collision as a car might be trying to come around the opposite side. So I have now, I'm joined here by residents, Mort and Linda Glanz. They are the residents who live on one of the two corners of Holly and Beacon. They live on the eastern side, which is the side that the traffic council said we suggest that the parking is restricted. That's what was approved. And they emailed the council and said, we would really like someone to appeal this on our behalf, because we actually don't think that we have observed this risk that a different resident had written into the traffic council about. We are concerned about this risk, and we think that this remedy actually doesn't resolve that risk. So can you please take another closer look at it? We've also had two other residents write in, and I think that those emails were shared with the committee. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I think that there's also, Dr. and Mrs. Glanz are here. I see another one of the residents who wrote in is also here. And so happy to let them also speak for themselves.
All set?
All set.
Okay. So to be clear, you want what from this committee?
Yes. So we would like this committee to amend the original traffic council item to have the parking be restricted on both the east and west side.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Before we go to the public comments, I have a question for Mr. Kosis. Councilor Charm is requesting that we amend the traffic council decision, and I just want to be clear. Can we vote to amend it to restrict it on the west side as well?
Yeah, you would be approving approving as amended.
Okay, and what is the distance from Beacon?
Well, that would be in the presentation. So
130 feet.
yeah.
130?
And 160 on the east.
Yeah, east side is all set. I just want to make sure. Mr. Kosis, it's 130 feet?
160 feet on the east side, 130 feet on the west side.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go to public comments. We have two people in the room with us. So if you would like to address the committee, just state your name and address, and there you go.
Hi, I'm George White. I'm 1881 Beacon Street. I think Brittany summarized everything pretty much with respect to our feelings. We weren't really aware of the initial proposal. We were weighing, our neighbor told us about it, so we weren't able to weigh in on the initial thing in February. But the thing is, one thing is we've lived there for 37 years, and we felt just doing it on the east side would not mitigate any danger, because nobody ever parks there. I mean, it's just rare. I don't use it, and it's just the whole problem was really on the west side of the street. So that certainly was a major factor, and we were obviously people, especially children, walking in the street. They're going in a northerly direction, and cars coming around the corner from Holly, they wouldn't even see them because their back to them. And like Brittany and we've said, and we've observed, people turn pretty fast and want to beat the oncoming traffic. They're just coming off the freeway in many cases and go a lot faster in that area than they really should be going. So we were those were concerns, and we felt that the distance on the left side was just from Beacon was just too short for someone to react in a timely manner to prevent a potentially catastrophic situation. I don't know. Do you have anything to add? Yeah, I mean, I think those are the main factors. I mean, the other thing is that people, everybody's distracted and in a hurry, and my qualitative observations, confirmation bias notwithstanding, is that, people don't always approach that intersection cautiously. I know sometimes, you think about something else. So I think in terms of harm mitigation, moving that path would be a very ideal solution.
So you're in favor of the appeal as amended to restrict it on both sides?
On both, yeah, I don't care about, yeah,
right.
definitely, it should be on both sides.
Okay.
It's just that the one on the east side was
Yeah.
probably not gonna do anything.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not gonna make any difference.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay,
but if you wanted to vote that, we'll go on with that.
okay.
So long as the
Yeah.
cars come off.
And can you just state your name and address for the record?
Hi, I'm Linda Glantz, and I'm 1881
With him?
Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is not enough room on the street as it is now, and it always has been, for 3 lanes. The 3 lanes are going from Beacon Street down Holly, and from coming up Holly to Beacon Street, and a parking lane. There's no room for a parking lane. You have to go around the car, and then that puts you in the middle of the road. You are not in a lane. The only, oddly, I noticed, the cars parked on the street, stay in the car, turn on the ignition, drive to the corner and exit, go on Beacon. That's the parking lane. It's very strange. There are no room for three lanes. And that will not change whether you install sidewalks or not. The sidewalk is incidental to this issue.
Thank you. Oh,
And also, and you noted this too, there are some mature trees in the middle of the paved area that they're talking about putting a sidewalk right in the middle, not to the side near the curb, but right in the middle. And I think that's another reason no one wants to walk along that path. It's not convenient.
And in the winter, with snow piled up and
Yeah.
everything, they're not gonna be able to walk there.
And I do witness, and I don't have young children, none of these are my, belong to me or children of friends of mine, they're young kids. They get off the school bus on Beacon, I guess it's on the west side, and then they go around the cars in the middle of the street and continue walking. And I think they're conditioned to doing that. So, and I notice even when a car may not be there, which is incredibly rare, usually they're stationed there, they still go on the street now. They're used to going in the street. Restricting parking would probably encourage them to go on the berm, on the edge and off the main street. Right now, they're in the middle of the street. And also people walking their dogs are walking their dogs in the middle of the street. And they shouldn't be. It's frightening because of oncoming traffic, cars coming.
thank you. Thank you. We're going to go to some hands raised on Zoom. I see Jaya Wen. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. Please unmute, state your name and address, please.
Thank you so much, committee and council member Charm and Mr. Kosis for your time and your attention. I'm just down the street from the intersection in question. I'm a mom of a chaotic toddler and a friend to a lot of parents in the area of middle schoolers and elementary schoolers. And I won't spend too much time going into detail, but I just wanted to emphasize that a lot of parents who are in the area who I chatted with who didn't have time to attend tonight would love any amount of remediation up to as much as possible. Our dream would be sidewalks, but we understand there's a lot of considerations to that. The more space that could be made on that section of road and the further down, I think that for those of us with young kids with low situational awareness, it would be a huge plus to our daily lives. There's a lot of pedestrian, action in the area, and as someone who drives, I always inch around that corner, and I get people mad on Beacon when I turn that slowly. So I really appreciate your time and consideration, and I support the amendment and the measure. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wen. Now we're going to go to Liz Carey Bloom. Please unmute when prompted and state your name and address.
Hi, oh, am I unmuted? Yes. Good evening, Liz Carey Blum, 24 Holly Road. I just became aware of that that this was being brought to this committee a few days ago. I've lived on Holly Road 22 years. My kids walked to Ainger. They used the bus stop that we're talking about when they did the swing school at Carr, and then to go to Brown Middle School. And then they walked to the bus stop at South, which is across the street on the other side of Beacon. So I'm very familiar with the issues that have been going on. I'm sure that in my younger days, I wrote hoping to get a sidewalk installed. I know we've been talking about it for over 20 years. I think that's probably ultimately the best solution. I know it's from what I understand, it's on the docket for the next 5 years. It's not in the plan. Holly's a very narrow street. I have noticed in the last few days the no parking signs. I actually didn't notice them until this was brought to my attention a few days ago. The one thing I noted is there is a difference between parking and standing. And I think that people are still in their cars with the car on, and they're not maybe thinking they're technically parked. So I haven't done this is anecdotal information here, and I haven't done a long study, but I'm not sure the parking signs are accomplishing what we would like them to. And I certainly appreciate that they are there, and I'm certainly very appreciative of having them on both sides. One thought I had after I wrote to Ms. Charm, I believe yesterday, is that Holly Road is quite narrow. I don't know how it compares to other streets in the Dorset Circle, but I wondered if a short-term solution might be to move the bus stop to a wider street that has sidewalks. That would at least help with the safety problem with the kids. It's not going to help with people like me who are walking their dog and have to walk in the middle of the street, or the having to pull in the middle of the street to pull out onto Beacon, or people pulling onto Beacon, pulling off of Beacon onto Holly Road at reasonably high speeds for our type of neighborhood. I don't know if that's ever been considered. I don't know if it's an option, but it might be something to talk about if it hasn't been. And I apologize that I wasn't on the last meeting and I'm just finding out about this. But my vote would ultimately be to have sidewalks installed. And considering it is a bus stop, I don't know if that could be a consideration for reprioritizing who's getting sidewalks. But then if that is not an option, again, maybe the easier solution is moving the bus stop. And then we wouldn't have cars parking on a reasonably narrow road.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
I don't understand that.
oh, she's still, we muted her. Sorry.
No,
Thank you.
I just was thanking everyone for your time, and I appreciate everyone's attention to this.
What's it?
Thank you. Seeing no more hands, I think you had a question.
I don't know what the relevance of the sidewalks are to the cars.
Well, I'll say this, the sidewalks and the bus stop location is not in our purview. And it's not in our purview tonight. And that's all I can say about that. Was just
Sidewalks don't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an error.
There are cars that are parked, they're not just waiting for the bus, there are
No.
vehicles
thank you.
that are parked there almost
24/7.
in infinitum still.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna bring this into committee now. Committee members.
Sherry Bloom re-raised her hand.
No, she lowered it.
Oh, she didn't.
Oh, she had, and then she
Oh,
reloaded.
she keeps doing it like this. Okay, there she is.
Go ahead.
With all due respect, I just wanted to comment on the sidewalks won't solve a problem. It solves getting the kids out of the middle of the street, especially in the winter when there's nowhere for them to walk. So with all due respect, I do feel strongly about that. And
Thank you.
and then I can walk my dog and everyone else can walk their dog on the sidewalk rather than in the middle of the street.
Thank you. So there seems to be many things here, but right now, the only thing we have in front of us is the traffic council appeal. Councilor Charm has moved to amend it to include the west side, 130 feet from Beacon Street. Let's bring it into committee for discussion. Don't all be shy. Councilor Block, Councilor Irish.
I'd like to know from Mr. Kozis what he thinks about this appeal. Do you agree that the east side of the street usually doesn't have parking and therefore putting a no parking sign isn't really that effective in terms of whatever our goal is? Was that part of the discussion in traffic council? And just what do you think about this?
Okay, so I did vote with everyone else on restricting parking on the east side. My sense was that there was not a strong sense either way to restrict parking on the east side or on the west side or on both sides. It's a 24-foot wide street, which is the typical width of streets in Newton. A 24-foot wide street definitely could accommodate parking on one side. It is unique that this is a small stretch without sidewalks on either side. One thing to think about is removing parking completely would do nothing to reduce vehicle speed. At least if you do have a parked car on one side or the other, it could potentially reduce speed for vehicles turning off of Beacon Street. That's the only thought that I had, but again, I think that there was not really a strong sense from me or from the other members of traffic council as far as I could tell.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Irish.
Councilor Block asked my question because I was curious about the rationale in the previous traffic council for not extending the no parking on that side of the street. So I think the residents and Council Farm made a pretty compelling case to increase to add no parking to the other side. So I was just curious about what the thinking was behind restricting that.
So I know, because I did rewatch the traffic council meeting, and I voted on it. Is that at least it was brought up in the meeting that we didn't want it to be too restrictive, no parking on each side without any feedback from the people who live on Holly Road or Beacon Street. And at the traffic council meeting, there was no one from Holly Road or Beacon Street at the meeting, so we didn't have any guidance to go on. We didn't hear about the school bus stop. We were aware of the lack of sidewalks, but we didn't have any guidance to go on. So thank you all for showing up tonight. Councilor Roach, then Councilor Golden.
A few things. Number one, thank you to the residents. Love the fact that you put your addresses in your Zoom names. Kudos to that. Thank you, Mr. Kosas, for giving us the the street width. That was gonna be one of my questions. I really want to emphasize Mr. Kosis's point about the parked cars potentially having a slowing effect. It is not intuitive, but clearing obstacles from people is what often leads to higher speeds. And I could go on for a long time. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, Ralph Nader, blah, blah, blah. But it is not a unintended consequence of this may be that people actually drive faster off of Beacon onto Holly than not. That said, I am compelled the notion of children walking in the streets, terrible. Also, adults with their dogs, children with their dogs. And then the last point that I wanted to make was the point that Ms. Carrie Bloom made about standing vehicles, because I assume that if it's a bus stop, that there are a fair number of parents sitting waiting to pick up their darlings, and they are putting other children at risk by doing so, which is unfortunate, but no parking does not mean no standing, and they will not assume that it means no standing. And so that part of the problem won't be solved unless we make it no standing. So to the residents, thank you. Please be aware that if the unintended consequence may be faster speeds, I'm all for no parking on both sides, but I would also friendly amendment to include no standing.
Councilor Charles?
Am I allowed to get resident input?
No, you're on an island.
No, we don't want residential input at all. Now, go ahead. Of course, go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. I would love to know about the reactions to the friendly amendment to say no parking or standing within the 130 and 160 feet.
Okay, I just want to ask Mr. Kosis, is that allowed with this traffic council appeal to amend it to include no parking and no standing?
Yep, that's within your purview.
Okay, all right. And your question was to whom?
My question is to the 4 Holly Road residents that we have here, so 2 on Zoom and 2 in the room, whether they would support the expansion, the further expansion of this piece to not just be east and west, no parking, but to be east and west, no parking and no standing.
Yes.
Okay, I want to go to Zoom first. We're going to go to Jaya Wen. Can you please unmute when prompted?
Yes, absolutely. I realize I forgot to say my actual address. It's 176 Dorset Road, but my driveway exits onto Holly. I would support that additional remediation, and I hear what the council member said about removing obstacles. I think that, I know this is outside of your purview, but we would love sidewalks there. We really would. That's all I have to say.
Get that.
We're going to go to Liz Carrie Bloom. Please unmute. Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's a very reasonable solution. I mean, I'm happy with that. I can't speak for my other neighbors, but I think they would be happy with that too. I agree with Ms. Wen. The sidewalks are, I think, the real key to solving the safety issue of this problem. I do appreciate that removing the obstacles might increase speed, but I don't have a good thought about that. So I do have concerns about that. I leave it to this committee. You're much more experienced in this than I am to work through that problem. You know, if that, I don't even know if it's a problem, but to work through it. I feel like I don't have the experience to comment on it, but it's something I never thought about, and I appreciate that insight. But I appreciate the committee and what and what you're proposing.
Thank you. Mr. and Ms. Lyons? No standing.
I mean, it's not agreeable. I don't know why people stand there anyhow. Is it
Stand.
Standing means idling in their car. They're in their car.
No, I know,
Okay.
I've seen them, yeah, I'm not sure.
No opinion?
I think waiting for the bus.
Yeah.
Waiting for their kids.
Waiting for the bus to
Right.
arrive, to have their kids
Well,
get
I
out
don't
and
see
get on the
that.
bus.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Corner, but what you see that, I see teenagers getting off the bus and walking around the car in the street. I don't really think, to be perfectly honest with you, the kids have an aversion to walking on a matted surface rather than a sidewalk. To be honest, I don't think that's a big deal. They don't want to go there, but they should be able to go as close to the end of the street, to the curb, as possible. And not have to walk around a large car parked in the street. They shouldn't be walking in the middle of the street, period.
Why do the cars stand there and just?
I presume they're picking up their kids.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for the car.
They're waiting for the bus.
Wait for the bus
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah.
This is in the afternoon. When they get 3, 4 in the afternoon, they get off. These are teenagers. Nobody's waiting for them. No, there's no one in a car waiting to pick up these kids. They just get off the bus and go to the corner to Holly and walk in the street and down the street. That's it. They're teenagers.
I'll just add.
Councilor Charm? Thank you.
Just one, I understand that you all do live on the corner, but one of the original item that was submitted, which was part of citing safe routes to school and originally triggering this docket item for the traffic council, did have photos on an afternoon with elementary school age kids getting off of a school bus and walking in front of a row of cars that they clearly had parents in them standing. And
Yeah,
so,
I didn't print that one.
Yeah. But so I see 4 vehicles that all seem to have people in them, and I see, older to middle elementary school kids getting off and walking around.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Roach, you were still your turn. You made a friendly amendment. Councilor Charm, you're in favor of it.
I'm in favor.
Are you all set, Councilor Roach?
You can add something about making more responsible, the amendment to make more responsible teenagers.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Toddlers, toddlers don't listen.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Golden?
So is there any concrete information about who is actually parking here? We've heard the discussion about idling, waiting for the children to get on or off the bus. That seems to be a piece of it. Are there other people parking here? And who are they? Because if the street seems to be, according to the sort of discussion today, opposed to parking there, who's parking on the street? Who comes there to park?
I know who's parking there, but
I don't know.
We didn't want to.
But
There are on street parking there. That's my question. Who's parking? If it's people on the street,
Who's parking and taking away, right?
yeah.
Who's using it now?
Councilor, hold on, Councilor Charm.
I will share my understanding. I also welcome Ms. Carrie Blum to speak up. So I have gone and spoken to both of the residents that are on the corners, including the Kleinses and the others. My understanding is that the other house on the corner of Holly and Beacon on the west side does routinely park 1 to 2 of their cars on the street outside past their driveway. And it originally started when they were doing some home construction and they, needed to get their cars out of the driveway because of a dumpster and things like that. And then it became something that was more of a habit. And that has exacerbated this issue. I have spoken to those residents. They know that this meeting is happening. I invited them to also send something in to the committee if they weren't going to be able to join. They have indicated that the children's safety is their #1 priority. And if the committee decides that to keep the kids safe, it would be best to have no parking, then they respect that decision.
Okay, thank you.
There are pictures of cars.
Yeah, I don't want to hold you to it, but are we talking about two cars from Beacon Street parking on Holly? Is
Should I
that what
tell
the
you?
issue here is?
I think
Hold
that
on.
it's one, well, maybe we can have Ms. Carey want to speak up.
Okay, Ms. Carrie Bloom, can you unmute, please?
The two residents there do park. They have two large SUVs. They do park there. I park my SUV on Holly Road too sometimes because I have a small driveway and a 2-car garage and 3 cars. So I don't want to, I don't want to necessarily take that away from them. I understand it's hard, but to answer the question of who's parking there, they're parking there during whenever, not just during the day. I believe they're at work. Their cars aren't usually there when, by the time I go to work in the morning, their cars are usually not there. The people who are parking there are parents because I see people that I know that do not live in our neighborhood picking their kids up. So, they're waiting for the bus to, go to an activity or a doctor's appointment or whatever. I don't notice a problem in the morning. I don't think parents are parking there in the morning. I think they're parking there in the afternoon, waiting for the bus to come. And, it's probably variable when the bus shows up between, they may, if it's supposed to arrive at 3:10, you probably get there at 3:05 and stay there until the bus comes, which maybe could be 3:20 because if it hits traffic on Route 9, all bets are off. So it's people picking their kids up. It's not hospital employees. It's not people taking the tea. It's nothing like that.
Thank you. Councilor Gold?
Thanks, Chair Lucas. One other question, and I appreciate that sidewalks are not within the purview of this committee. However, I would like to be educated here about how, if appropriate, about why there aren't sidewalks here. Presumably, it sounds like street wants sidewalks. Everybody's willing to pay a betterment, I assume, right?
No.
That's how.
I don't know.
You don't pay a betterment for a sidewalk in Newton?
There's no reason
Okay,
for the sidewalk on the east side.
That's not our purview anyway.
Okay, gotcha.
We'll need another form.
But the cost of sidewalks is socialized
Yes,
across the state.
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
unless you break in structure.
But I would just think at some point.
That's a separate issue. I also would like not to talk about sidewalks. That's not in our
Got it,
purview.
yeah, got it,
It's
got it.
just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but nobody wants to pay. Got it, gotcha.
All set, Councilor Golden?
I am.
Okay. Councilor Block?
I think we should think really hard about who is using this space right now for parking or for standing. I appreciate, Councilor Charms, your talking to the neighbors. That's a little different from us hearing directly from the neighbors who use this space for parking. The parents who want to pick up their little darlings, I think that was how you described them, or something.
That's how Councilor Lynch.
Oh, okay. They're a stakeholder here, and they're not informed about this meeting or this issue. They're not here, and I'm troubled by that. I would like to hear from them. If we adopted this amendment and there was no parking and no standing, they're still going to pick up their kids. They're just going to park farther down Holly. So the kids will be walking farther on Holly. We hope close to the side where there isn't a sidewalk, but not necessarily because they're kids. So are we making it truly safer for the kids? Are we by considering a no standing? There's a lot of restrictions here that we're considering. The first, of course, the original amendment was to have no parking on the west side in addition to the east side. But that wasn't, I think, thinking about the standing part. So, so it's difficult. I'm glad I mean, the situations that I've been involved in the past where people are asking for no parking on either one side or both sides, there's a lot of contention. And usually the people who are the abutters want to retain the parking for themselves or for guests. And it's other people who are a little farther away who have other concerns than that, who want the no parking. It doesn't seem like it's playing out that way here, and maybe that's just as well. But because this is a school pickup location, I don't think I'm ready to vote for a no standing part of this, and I'll have to vote against the whole thing unless the item is divided between no parking on the west side as item 1, let's say, and no standing on, I guess, either side. I don't think I can go that, and I want the sidewalks, because that would probably make all this a lot easier to figure out. But that's just how I'm thinking about it right now.
Oh, Councilor Roach. Oh, wait, hold on for a second. I just want to go to Councilor Silver and Wright if you want to raise your hands. We haven't heard from you. If not, we'll go to Councilor Roach.
So I think that Councilor Block has touched on something that's essential here, which is we are shifting things around and creating different patterns. I am a little less concerned than he is about I share his concern. Forget about what I'm less concerned about. I share his concern that we're moving things around and that the kids are going to have to get to, if the parents are picking the kids up, then the kids have to get to the parents' cars, and there are no sidewalks, and that is the essential problem. And so everybody has said it, it's not in our purview, but I think that the key here is figuring out how, because sidewalks are in the city council's purview on the CIP, and so we should heed the fact that this seems to be a pretty urgent need and creating a problem. I am going to vote yes, either as a combined item or a separate item, but I think Councilor Block's essential insight is correct. I just feel like we're mitigating it a little bit, although we won't know. This is not a silver bullet.
I just love these conversations.
Is that sarcastic?
No.
All right.
I'm serious. I love this.
I
love this. We're going to go to Councilor Wright and then Councilor Silver.
Thank you, Chair Lucas. I don't know if Mr. Kosis could put the map back up and take a look. And where is the school bus stop? Where are the people waiting for their kids? Overall, where's that? Because I do share some concern that Councilor Block is bringing up, because those people aren't here at this meeting, and how much farther away would they need to park? I have a no standing on my street, but people kind of ignore it. So I was wondering if we could see a map again.
Hold on for a second. Councilor Charm, what's your question?
Sorry, I was just going to say, you all do have in the, there was an email that Ms. Delaney sent from me that had 3 emails attached. The second email did have the photos.
Yeah.
That I was referencing, that had the kids coming off the bus, and you can see in those 2 photos, you can see 3 cars on the west side and 1 car on the east side. waiting for kids. And you can see the kids stepping off, and you can see some of them walking down the middle of the road past the line of cars.
You said the second.
My question is, where exactly is the school drop off? So maybe there's no standing for part of it, or I don't know. I just not. For me, it's easier seeing it on a map.
Okay. Mr. Kosis, can you bring up the map? And then if you don't know where the school bus stop is, maybe Councilor Charm, you can fill us in, please.
I can try and share again. I'm having difficulty sharing at this meeting for some reason, but let me try.
And-
Do you have the deck?
Oh, here you go.
I don't know.
In the picture that I have, that I'm looking at right now, the bus is driving along Beacon, and it looks like they open their doors. They basically block Holly, and they open their doors on the west corner of Holly.
So if I could just say, I mean, it looks like the bus is sort of protecting the kids as they're walking.
So the bus stop is on Beacon.
Yes.
Okay, because I thought it was farther up on the street, but it is actually on Beacon.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, right at that finish,
right on the western corner.
And well, if I could just comment, I don't think parents would be very happy. I'm serious about this. If they had to be way farther down Holly, the bus is dropping them off at this corner. The bus is blocking traffic. I mean, the bus has its arm out on Beacon, so traffic is stopped. And I think they want to get their kids into their car right away. I would, and I might ignore a no standing sign. I mean, if any police officer came around, I'd say, all right, I'll move, and I'd circle and come back. I don't think it's a good idea to install no standing. The more I think about it, looking at this photo, the kids are being protected from the traffic as long as the bus is there, and the closer the parents are to picking up their kids, the quicker the bus will leave. And so I would ask the chair to separate this item when it comes to a vote.
All right. Councilor Wright, are you all set?
Yep. And I'm agreeing with Councilor Block at this point.
Okay. Councilor Silver?
Yeah, I would just mention that the only bus route that I have been able to find, and it's somewhat time consuming to go through elementary school, is a Brown middle school bus drop off at Holly at Beacon. It's not an Angier bus stop. So that kind of brings up the question. I had no idea that it seems odd to me that people so far, northwest in the city would be zoned to Brown, but I don't understand how this all works. So anyway, the point being that people are maybe coming from a ways to get their kid to this bus stop. And I would be concerned about not giving, having no place for for people to pick up their kids. I mean, ultimately that means they're going to be driving their kid to Brown in some cases, or to trying to pick them up there, which is going to, we're pushing people out of a comfort zone. From what I remember, middle school, there's not as many middle school bus stops. So I'll keep looking through the elementary schools, but the only thing I've found so far is Brown.
I think it probably is a middle school stop. Yeah, Angier would walk from there.
I would.
You're right, Councilor Silver.
Or it could be Newton South also.
Didn't see Newton South either. I looked at the high schools, middle schools, and now I'm working my way through the elementary schools. So
all right. Any other comments from committee members before we take a vote, and we're going to split them? What?
I agree.
Oh,
No, in the.
Any other comments from committee members? All right, seeing none. Okay, so we're gonna split the vote. So the first vote we're gonna take is to amend the traffic council decision to add a parking restriction 130 feet going north from Beacon Street on the west side of Holly Road. Is everyone clear on that? Just the no parking. So we're going to do what should we do, a roll call or a voice vote?
We do a roll call.
Roll call. We're going to do a roll call. I wish I had the names here. No, you'll do it, right? You'll do it. I don't know everyone's name. So
I have a question. So there's no parking on one side, so we're adding no parking on the other side, correct?
130 feet on the west side, going north from Beacon Street.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Ms. Delaney, can you call the roll, please?
Okay, Council Lucas,
I'm an aye.
Councilor Wright,
Aye.
Councilor Block,
Aye.
Councilor Irish,
Aye.
Councilor Roach,
Aye.
Councilor Golden,
Aye.
and Councilor Silver.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved 7-0.
7-0. 30 feet. You're going to get that. Okay, now we're going to take a separate vote on whether or not we're going to take another vote on whether or not to add a no standing along with a no parking sign on both sides of the street, 160 feet on the east side, 130 feet on the west side. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Question.
On the same sign? Is it one sign? Or we're not doing two signs?
I think that's an implementation issue.
Yeah.
That is, okay,
I'm
is
kind of just curious.
usually the traffic superintendent will make that call as to the location and, you know,
Usually
whether.
signs or sides?
Signs.
So it would be no
Signs.
standing, no parking, it was no
Okay,
standing.
got it, the
Yeah,
sign.
just trying to visualize.
Yeah,
Right.
we don't,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Okay.
we don't have any, that'll be up to them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna take a vote on the no standing on each side, along with the no parking. Ms. Delaney, can you call the roll, please?
Council Lucas,
I'm a no.
Councilor Wright,
No.
Councilor Wright,
Oh, no. I don't want to add the no standing.
you're a no?
That's a no saying not adding no standing, right?
Yes.
Correct. A no.
Okay. No, okay. Council Block,
No.
Council Irish,
No.
Council Roach,
Aye.
Council Golden,
No.
Council Silver.
No.
Okay, that motion does not pass. It fails.
Okay.
So we have one motion to add parking restriction 130 feet north from Beacon Street on the west side of Holly Road.
Okay,
The other motion failed.
okay. That will go to the full council at our next full council meeting, which is in, I think, next week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that will go to the full council next week.
Okay.
And I believe that is our only item on the agenda tonight. So thank you all, everyone, for coming out tonight. I really appreciate your comments. We did not have any during the traffic council decision, but thank you all. And that is our only item for the evening. So we are adjourned.